Good morning, everyone. Uh, where we ended in the last class. Akriti, you were in the last class, right?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ तो कहाँ से स्टार्ट करना है?
Ma'am, एक minute.
We have done energy resources. Yeah, we have to start with page number 38, renewable energy, I guess. Muskan,
Yes, ma'am.
start reading from this renewable energy. Yes, Akriti.
मैम पेज नंबर 38 से स्टडी करना था मेरे को।
हाँ, yes, I got it. Page number 38. The topic is renewable energy. Muskan, you start reading this. Muskan, do you have the book, Muskan?
No, ma'am.
Why you don't have a book? Everyone has this book. You are not in the group? You are in the group, right, Muskan?
यस मैम मैम बट मैंने लेट ज्वाइन किया था ना इसीलिए।
तो इतने दिन से क्लास अटेंड कर रहे हो आप, आपने एक बार भी नहीं पूछा?
मैम मैंने बुक मंगा लिया बट मैं इस टाइम है नहीं मेरे पास।
Send it in the group. Go
यस
to
मैम।
number 38 and start reading. I have already sent you book in the group. Go to your group, download the book, go to page number 38 and start reading it.
ओके मैम।
Okay? Everything till she like gets the book, you start reading with this renewable energy. Shruti, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, should I start?
Energy from this. And yeah,
Okay. Renewable energy. Renewable energy systems use resources that are constantly replaced and are usually less polluting. Examples include hydropower, solar wind, and geothermal energy from the heat inside the earth. We also get renewable energy from burning trees and even garbage as fuel and processing other plants into biofuels. One day, all our homes may get their energy from the sun or the wind. Your car's gas tank will use biofuel. Your garbage might contribute to your city's energy supply. Renewable energy technologies will improve the efficiency and cost of energy systems. We may reach the point when we may no longer rely mostly on fossil fuel energy. Ma'am, do I need to read the case study?
from no, from hydroelectric power.
Okay. Hydroelectric power. This uses water flowing down a natural gradient to turn turbines to generate electricity known as hydroelectric power by constructing dams across rivers. Between 1950 and 1970, hydropower generation worldwide increased 7 times. The long life of hydropower plants, the renewable nature of the energy source, very low operating and maintenance costs, and absence of inflationary pressures as in fossil fuels are some of its advantages. The drawbacks. Although hydroelectric power has led to economic progress around the world, it has created serious ecological problems. First, to produce hydroelectric power, large areas of forest and agricultural lands are submerged. These lands traditionally provided a livelihood for local tribal people and farmers. Conflicts over land use are inevitable. Second, setting of the reservoirs, especially as a result of deforestation, reduces the life of the hydroelectric power installations. Third, water is required for many other purposes besides power generation. These include domestic requirements, growing agricultural crops, and for industry. This gives rise to conflicts. Fourth, the use of rivers for navigation and fisheries becomes difficult once the water is dammed for generation of electricity. Next, resettlement of displaced persons is a problem for which there is no ready solution. The opposition to many large hydroelectric schemes is growing as most dam projects have been unable to resettle people that were affected and displaced. In certain regions, large dams can induce seismic activity which will result in earthquakes. There is a great possibility of this occurring around the Tehri Dam in the Himalayan foothills. Sri Sundar Lal Bahuguna, the initiator of the Chipko movement, has fought against the Tehri Dam for several years. With large dams causing social problems, there has been a trend to develop small hydroelectric generation units. Multiple small dams have less impact on the environment. China has the largest number of these, 60,000 generating 13,250 megawatts, i.e. 30% of the China's electricity. Sweden, the US, Italy and France also have developed small dams for electric power generation. The development of small hydroelectric power units could become a very important resource in India, which has steeply falling rivers and the economic capability and technical resources to exploit them.
Okay. Muskan, you may continue from solar energy. Muskan, have you downloaded your book? Muskan, have you downloaded your book? Shruti, you may continue with this.
Solar energy. In 1 hour, the sun pours as much energy onto the earth as we use in a whole year. If it were possible to harness this colossal quantum of energy, humanity would need no other source of energy. Today, we have developed several methods of collecting this energy for heating water and generating electricity. Solar heating for homes. Modern housing that uses air conditioning and or heating are extremely energy dependent. A passive solar home or building is designed to collect the sun's heat through large south-facing glass windows. In solar heated buildings, sun spaces are built on the south side of the structure which acts as large heat absorbers. The floors of the sun spaces are usually made of tiles or bricks that absorb heat throughout the day, then release heat at night when it's cold. In energy efficient architecture, the sun, water, and wind are used to heat a building when the weather is cold and to cool it in summer. This is based on design and building material. Thick walls of stone or mud were used in traditional architecture as an insulator. Small doors and windows kept direct sunlight and heat out. Deeply set glass windows in colonial homes on which direct sunlight could not reach permitted the glass from creating a greenhouse effect. Verandas also served a similar purpose. Traditional bungalows had high roofs and ventilators that permitted hot air to rise and leave the room. Cross ventilation, where wind can drive the air in and out of a room, keeps it cool. Large overhangs over windows prevent the glass from heating the room inside. Double walls are used to prevent heating. Shady trees around the house help reduce temperature. Solar water heating. Most solar water heating systems have two main parts, the solar collector and the storage tank. The solar energy collector heats the water, which then flows to a well insulated storage tank. A common type of collector is the flat plate collector, a rectangular box with a transparent cover that faces the sun, usually mounted on the roof. Small tubes run through the box, carrying the water or the other fluids such as antifreeze to be heated. The tubes are mounted on a metal absorber plate which is painted black to absorb the sun's heat. The back and sides of the box are insulated to hold in the heat. Heat builds up in the collector, and as the fluid passes through the tubes, it too heats up. Solar water heating systems cannot heat water when the sun is not shining. Thus, homes must also have a conventional backup system. About 80% of homes in Israel have solar hot water heaters. Solar cookers. The heat produced by the sun can be directly used for cooking using solar cookers. A solar cooker is a metal box which is black on the inside to absorb and retain heat. The lid has a reflective surface to reflect the heat from the sun into the box. The box contains black vessels in which the food to be cooked is placed. India has the world's largest solar cooker program and an estimated 2 lakh families that use solar cookers. Although solar cookers reduce the need for fuel, wood, and pollution from smoky wood fires, they have not caught on well in rural areas as they are not suitable to traditional cooking practices. However, they have great potential if marketed well. Other solar powered devices. Solar desalini- desalination systems for converting saline or brackish water into pure distilled water has been developed. In future, they should become important alternatives for man's future economic growth in areas where fresh water is not available. Photovoltaic energy. The solar technology which has the greatest potential for use throughout the world is that of solar photovoltaic cells, which directly produce electricity from sunlight using photovoltaic cells. Solar cells use the sun's light, not its heat, to make electricity. PV cells require little maintenance, have no moving parts, and essentially no environmental impact. They work cleanly, safely, and silently. They can be installed quickly in small modules anywhere there is sunlight. Solar cells are made up of two separate layers of silicon, each of which contains an electric charge. When light hits the cells, the the charges begin to move between the two layers and electricity is produced. PV cells are wired together to form a module. A module of about 40 cells is enough to power a light bulb. For more power, PV modules are wired together into an array. PV arrays can produce enough power to meet the electrical needs of a home. Over the past few years, extensive work has been done in decreasing PV technology costs, increasing efficiency, and extending cell lifetimes. Many new materials, such as amorphous silicon, are being tested to reduce costs and automate manufacturing. PV cells are commonly used today in calculators and watches. They also provide power to satellites, electric lights, and small electrical appliances such as radios and for water pumping, highway lighting, weather stations, and other electrical systems located away from power lines. Some electric utility companies are building PV systems into their power supply networks. PV cells are environmentally benign, i.e., they do not release pollutants or toxic material to the air or water. There is no radioactive substance and no catastrophic accidents. Some PV cells, however, do contain small quantities of toxic substances such as cadmium, and these can be released to the environment in the event of a fire. Solar cells are made of silicon, which, although the second most abundant element in the Earth's crust, has to be mined. Mining creates environmental problems. PV systems also, of course, only work when the sun is shining and thus need batteries to store the electricity.
Okay. Shreya, do you have the book? Shreya, Shreya, do you have the book? You don't have the book. Okay, I have sent this book in the group just now. So try to download it so that at least you can go through it, like whatever you have not studied or not read at all. Plus, while Shruti is reading, you can just be with this class and be with whatever it's reading. Akriti, can you start reading now? Akriti, if you can't read, just drop a text.
Yes, ma'am.
You can read it. Okay, then start reading from solar thermal electric power.
Yes, ma'am. Solar radiations can produce high temperature which can generate electricity areas with low clouds level of cover with
बेटा फुल
latest
स्टॉप भी है थोड़ा सा पॉज तो ले लो चलो स्टार्ट आर यू नॉट वेल Shruti, you continue reading just this part, and from biomass energy, we'll be doing it in the next class. So I want Muskan, you and Shreya at least be ready with your books so that you people can start reading from biomass in the next class.
Yes, ma'am, just a minute.
Yeah.
Solar thermal electric power. Solar radiation can produce high temperatures which can generate electricity. Areas with low cloud levels of cover with little scattered radiation, as in the desert, are considered most suitable sites. According to a UNDP assessment, STE is about 20 years behind the wind energy market exploitation, but is expected to grow rapidly in the near future. Mirror energy. During the 1980s, a major solar thermal electric generation unit was built in California, containing 700 parabolic mirrors, each with 24 reflectors 1.5 meters in diameter, which focus the sun's energy to produce steam to generate electricity. Solar thermal systems change sunlight into electricity by focusing sunlight to boil water to make steam. मैम बायोमास पढ़ना है
No, sorry. Biomass नहीं पढ़ना है. We'll start reading this biomass in the next class. We'll try to finish it in the next class. Next class कल है, I guess ना. ठीक है. We'll be finishing this unit in the next class. Um, and on Saturday, I'll be giving you few questions from Unit 1 and Unit 2, so that you can just go through that questions, prepare your answers for the particular questions. Like at the end for the exams, at least you'll be ready with that important questions. So it would be easier for you to make notes according to that. Like write down the question and the answer, and you have to read only that, like for your exams. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
If I forget, just make sure to just poke me that I have to give you important questions from Unit 1 and Unit 2.